Good morning, students. In this lecture, I will discuss about the digestive system in honeybee. But before coming into the digestive system, I would just like to revise what we have studied about the sting apparatus. We know that the worker bees as well as queen, they possess in the posterior most end of the abdomen a very important defense system, and it is called the sting, which is used when the worker honeybee senses some great danger. As I have already told you, they use their stinger only when there is a serious threat to their hive or to their fellow honeybees. Because when they use their sting, because the sting apparatus is attached with the internal organ of the honeybee, it also gets the internal structural organ also gets torn up when the honeybee worker stings someone. As I have already told you, the stinger is provided with lancet, that is curved hook-like structure, which when enters the skin gets stuck in the skin, and when the bee tries to fly away from the uh, organism to whom it has stung, the sting apparatus stays in the skin of that organism. So the honeybee dies. Uh, the sting is also provided or connected with the internal poison gland. The sting is formed, it is actually a hollow structure which is formed by a stylet which covers or form the dorsal side, the pair of ventral lancet. Lancets have spines on their surface. It is these lancet that get stuck in the skin. These three pieces encloses an internal poison canal. As I have told you that it is a hollow structure, so these three pieces form the encloses a narrow poison canal which ejects the poison into the skin of the host to whom it has stung. So these three pieces encloses an inner poison canal. At its proximal end, the sting has swollen bulb and a pair of bifid arm. As you can see, the basal region is swollen and it has got two arms. The distal tip is beset with spines, and there are spines in the distal end of the lancet called the barbs. Three pair of plate called the oblong plate, the triangular or fulcular plate, and the quadrate plate. Three plates, pair of plates remain associated with the sting and they act as a lever. From each oblong plate arises an elongated palp to enclose the sting. It is a covering sort of a thing, as you can see in this diagram. From these plates arises a palp, which is uh, a sheath like covering enclosing the sting. The poison gland is short and slender. Its secretion remains stored in large poison sac. As you can see, the poison gland is small and slender, while the poison made by it is secreted in the poison sac, which open to the proximal end of the sting near the bulb. In queen, the sting also act as ovipositor. So this is the thing which I had already discussed in the previous class. Now I will discuss about the digestive system in honey bee. मधुमक्खियों में पाचन तंत्र. मधुमक्खी का पाचन तंत्र अन्य इंसेक्ट्स यानी कीटों के समान ही होता है. इसकी आहार नाल को 3 भागों में हम बांट सकते हैं. अग्र आंत्र यानी फोरगट, मध्य आंत्र मिडगट, पश्च आंत्र हाइंडगट. इनमें से अग्र व पश्च आंत्र क्यूटिकल द्वारा अस्तरित होते हैं. द डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम इज एग्जैक्टली सिमिलर टू दी अदर इंसेक्ट्स. अग्र आंत्र की संरचना अन्य कीटों की तरह होती है, जो मुख आंगों से घिरा हुआ मुख गुहा, ग्रसनी, ग्रसिका, अन्नपूट से मिलकर बनी होती है. The foregut comprises of mouth, which is surrounded by the mouth parts, mouth cavity, pharynx, esophagus, and crop. Crop is a sac-like structure which is made up of thin walls. अन्नपुट पतली भित्ति से बनी एक थैले समान संरचना होती है जो आधे उदर तक फैली रहती है, which extend up to half of the abdomen. अन्नपुट के पीछे गिजर्ड पाई जाती है, जिसकी भित्ति मोटी व पेशीय होती है तथा काइटिनी प्लेट या दांतों द्वारा अस्तरित रहती है तथा इसमें एक कपाट पाया जाता है. ये संरचनाएं पराग कणों से मधु को पृथक करती है तथा कपाट अन्नपुट से पचित भोजन को वापस जाने से रोकता है. अन्नपुट में पाए जाने वाले पदार्थों को मुख द्वारा पुनः बाहर निकालकर छत्ते के प्रकोष्ठ में या अन्य मधुमक्खियों को पोषित करने के काम में लिया जाता है. इस प्रकार छत्ते के प्रकोष्ठों में मधु एकत्रित किया जाता है. मध्य आंत्र यानी मिडगट अमाशय व इंटेस्टाइन द्वारा निरूपित की जाती है. मिडगट इज फॉर्म्ड बाय द स्टमक एंड इंटेस्टाइन. मधुमक्खियों का अमाशय सक्रिय होता है व आंत्र का अधिकांश भाग बनाता है. अमाशय व आंत्र के संगम स्थल पर मैल्पिगियन नलिकाओं का समूह पाया जाता है. द स्ट्रक्चर इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम लाइक अदर इंसेक्ट्स. पश्च आंत्र मलाशय के रूप में पाई जाती है, जो अन्नपुट की तरह पतली भित्ति की बनी होती है. द हाइंडगट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स रेक्टम विच इज मेड अप ऑफ थिन वॉल्ड जस्ट सिमिलर टू द क्रॉप. यह क्यूटिकल द्वारा अस्तरित होती है तथा अन्नपुट की तरह फैली रहती है. मलाशय में अपचित भोजन एकत्रित किया जाता है, जिसे कुछ महीनों के अंतराल पर बाहर निकाला जाता है. नाउ द हाइंडगट comprises of rectum, which I have told you is constituted by thin wall, पतली भित्ति की बनी होती है. It is lined by cuticle. It accumulates the undigested food, and this undigested food is eliminated out of the body, excreted out of the body after few months. That is, the undigested food or the unwanted food particle, it remains in the rectum for several months and then it is ejected out. For example, the honeybee, which is found in Michigan City, which is in America. It digests its food and eject the undigested food in several, say about 2-3 months. Like uh, it if it has excreted its excreta in November, then the next time it will excrete its waste will be in March. So you can see from November, first excretion has been made and the next excretion will be in March. So December, January, February, after 3 months it will release or excrete its undigested food. मिशिगन शहर में पाई जाने वाली मधुमक्खियों में अपचित भोजन का निष्कासन यदि एक बार नवंबर के माह में किया गया हो तो अगली बार अपचित भोजन का निष्कासन मार्च में किया जाता है. So we can say that in addition to mouth and pharynx, the alimentary canal consists of esophagus, honey sac, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. The alimentary canal is straight and tube-like. The esophagus passes through the thoracic region. Within the abdomen, the last part of the esophagus extends or dilates to become a honey sac. The honey sac opens into the stomach. Stomach is guarded by complex valve. The stomach is broad, half bent, and leads to small intestine. The opening is separated by a pylorus. The inner wall of the coiled intestine is lined by longitudinal row of chitinous teeth. The sac-like large intestine is the posterior continuation of small intestine. The opening between small intestine and large intestine is guarded by a valve of 6 plate. Some workers consider it as the stopper, and they suggest that the stomach are equivalent to proventriculus and ventriculus respectively in other insects. The digestive glands are represented by 3 pair of salivary glands. The saliva from these glands mixes with pollen and nectar. The enzymatic action converts the nectar into honey. It is either digested or regurgitated. Regurgitated means वापस मुंह से बाहर निकालना into the comb for future use. Another pair of coiled gland is present in the head of the worker bees, which produces nitrogenous food called royal jelly or bee milk. So it is produced by the hypopharyngeal glands. The respiratory system is comprised of trachea. It is like the other insects. The arrangement of trachea is the same as in cockroach, consists of spiracle or opening called stigmata, longitudinal trunk, and segmental branches. In certain region, the trachea are dilated to become air sac, as it was found in grasshopper. मधुमक्खी में श्वसन तंत्र अन्य कीटों की भांति ही होता है. इसके लिए इसमें श्वसन रंध्र पाए जाते हैं जिससे वायु भीतर ली जाती है व पुनः बाहर निकाली जाती है. शरीर के भीतर अन्य कीटों की तरह श्वास नलिकाओं का जाल बिछा रहता है जिनसे ऑक्सीजन विभिन्न ऊतक यानी कि टिश्यूज़ तक पहुंचती है. एक्सक्रीटरी सिस्टम ऑफ हनी बी. मधुमक्खियों में उत्सर्जन अन्य कीटों की भांति मेलपिगियन नलिकाओं द्वारा होता है. मेलपिगियन नलिकाएं अंध नलिकाओं के समूह के रूप में मध्य यानी मिड व पश्च यानी कि हाइंड, गट्स या आंत्र के संगम स्थल पर स्थित होती है तथा पश्च आंत्र में खुलती है। ये नलिकाएं हीमोलिम्फ से अनवांटेड या वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट को एकत्रित करती हैं तथा उन्हें यूरिक एसिड में बदल देती हैं तथा उसे पश्च आंत्र में छोड़ देती हैं। We have already studied that the Malpighian tubule absorbs the waste material from the hemolymph. They convert the waste, nitrogenous waste into uric acid. From the mid Malpighian tubule, water and other important nutrients are again reabsorbed by the tissue or given back to the hemolymph. The uric acid or the unwanted nitrogenous waste is delivered to the hindgut by the distal or by the proximal Malpighian tubule. ये हम पहले पढ़ चुके हैं कि there are numerous filiform tubule called Malpighian tubule that serves as the excretory organ. These tubule opens into the lumen of intestine through their proximal end and their distal blind end remains suspended within the hemocoelic spaces. Through the proximal end, they deliver the nitrogenous waste in form of uric acid into the hindgut, while the distal end remains free floating in the hemocoelic spaces. The excretory product passes out through the alimentary canal along with the other undigested food. Circulatory system. परिसंचरण तंत्र। अन्य कीटों की भांति इसमें भी परिसंचरण तंत्र ओपन यानी खुले प्रकार का होता है। इसकी देह गुहा में बहने वाली तरल हीमोलिम्फ कहलाता है। हीमोलिम्फ के परिसंचरण हेतु विभिन्न हीमोसिलिक कोटर व धड़कने वाला बहुप्रकोष्ठीय हृदय पाया जाता है। The circulatory system has a tubular heart which is present along the mid-dorsal region of thorax and abdomen. The blood which is pumped by the heart flows through hemocoelic spaces. The blood is known as hemolymph and it possesses a few amoeboid cells with prominent nuclei. It is similar to the circulatory system of other insects. Nervous system of honeybee. The nervous system of honeybee is well developed. In honeybee, the extremely powerful sense organs are there, as is evident as we all know that the honeybee has a pair of antennae as the anterior appendages. These anterior antennae are supplied with large number of sensory hair. They have sensory hair for detecting the touch, for detecting the vibration from the air, and these detectors are called the mechanoreceptors, sparshgrahi. Then they have receptors which can identify more than 170 type of smell. Such type of sensory hair are called the olfactory receptors. They have receptors which can identify the taste of different type of nectars, and such type of receptors are called the gustatory receptors or the swadgrahi. Chemoreceptors are known as the घ्राणग्राही.